And there you have it, the official introduction to Legend of Mana, which is a classic RPG game developed by the same people who brought you titles like Final Fantasy and one of my personal favorites, and I'm sure a lot of people out there, Chrono Trigger. At least anybody born, before 1990 anyway. Maybe some of you newer folks too, but I'm not going to judge if this is your first time playing an older game. Anyhow, welcome to the walkthrough. This is Legend of Mana, created in 1999, remastered in 2021. It is not only an RPG platformer game, but it's also one where you get to do a lot of world building. It's got a lot of little elements built into the game that make the entire experience pretty awesome. So this is your pretty standard select a character screen. I always go with the girl just because. And as you can see, there are a whole lot of different options for weapons. Me personally, I'm a fan of the bow because I like range attacks. I am also that person that in a first-person shooter will choose to use a sniper rifle above just about every other kind of weapon. And speaking of Chrono Trigger, I am going to give this gal the name of one of my absolute favorite characters from that game. Yeah, surprise, surprise, the old gamer nerd happened to have a favorite character that was, the nerdy robotics chick. When it comes to where you place your play area on the map, you really want to go, the ideal location for it seems to be somewhere in the northeast area of the map. Some people will tell you that it should be a very, very specific location up here, but honestly, as long as you have a good chunk of land and at least a couple spots for water, you're gonna be fine. Right here has worked out pretty well for me my last couple playthroughs, so I'm gonna call that good. Now, if you're anything like me, you're probably going to be tempted to drop your mailbox right in the middle of the screen there, but that is really not the best place for it. When choosing where to put it, I first go all the way down to the bottom left of the map, then go up to and over 1. That seems to be the spot that has been working out the best for me. Yes, this is from the day and age that really loved fully animated cutscenes. Those are called sproutlings. You're going to see a lot of them, and according to the lore, they actually don't have souls. They're the only critters in this world that don't. And what happens to them when they die, all of that energy that used to be a part of their body just goes back to the mana tree, which, it uses that energy to heal itself. And you'll find out a little bit later why it needed to heal at all. Those are all the different artifacts that you're going to be given throughout the game. Those are actually going to unlock new locations you can play and new quests that you can complete. And believe it or not, where you place them on the map actually does make a difference. You know, I'm actually kind of glad I have this going as a palate cleanser because I just found out that they are making candy corn flavored soda. Now, take note of this little guy here. His name is pretty straightforward, Lil Cactus. And every time you complete a quest, you're going to want to talk to him afterwards. Because what he's going to do, he's going to run out of that little pot and run straight over here to his diary and write it down. And once he has enough entries, that actually unlocks a little side quest for him. So for all of you who are completionists, keep that in mind. And again, talk to him every time you complete an event. And here's your study where you're going to find all kinds of game guides, books about characters, lands, artifacts, monsters, techniques. The only unfortunate thing I find about them, they're a little bit like the similar books in The Witcher, where they only populate entries after you have encountered them. So if you look at the characters so far, nothing is in here except for Lil Cactus, because he's the only person that we have actually interacted with so far. So when you go outside, first thing you probably want to do is go ahead and talk to this little sproutling guy. Doesn't really matter how you answer him. I usually just go with the first one. And you get your first artifact that you can place outside of your home. It's going to be the town of Domina, which is where a lot of your quests are going to take place. Before we do that, though, I want to kind of show you around. Over here is going to be the monster corral. There's actually a little side game that you can do where whenever you see a monster egg come up in your screen after entering a new area, you can actually try to capture it. And if you're successful, then that egg is brought over here to hatch and becomes a pet that you can actually take on adventures with you. You can feed them, you can pet them, you can send them out to graze. They even develop personalities after a while, depending on how you interact with them and how you feed them. So it's got a little bit of a Pokemon-esque vibe. Over here, we're going to have a giant tree come up in a couple of events. That is going to provide us with seeds and with fruit that we can collect to feed the pets I talked about just a minute ago. And plus, again, for the completionists, once you collect enough seeds, grow them, and harvest enough fruit, that becomes an accomplishment in and of itself. Now back here, you're going to have the workshops. I absolutely love these. This over here is going to be your smithy, where you can create armor and weapons with different items that you pick up along your journeys. Back here, there's going to be a laboratory where you can create golems that can accompany you. And over here is actually going to be a shop where you can create enchanted instruments that have magical effects during battle. Now that we have the town of Domina, I'm going to go ahead and go out to the world map. Now this one you want to place directly north of your home. And it's going to be there where we find our first event, Niccolo's Business Unusual. Stay tuned.